Sam Valentino, private toon detective here. I want to discuss some theories and findings about one of the classic Scooby-Doo Where Are You villains. And of course, it's one who appeared in one of Zach Wolf's YouTube poops.
Ooh, which one?
Well, what do you think? One who's gained a bad rap as of this decade. And not the kind of rap most of your foes have, Scooby, but for a different reason. Carl the Stuntman. Ever since YouTube Scooby-Doo fan Joe Goes Over discussed Carl's episode in September 2020, Never Ape an Ape Man, people online have begun criticizing this stuntman as the weakest of all the Scooby-Doo villains. Why, you ask?
Why?
Well, let's look at the facts. For one, instead of an impressive ghost or monster of some kind, he just wore an ordinary ape costume that was meant for use in a Hollywood movie about a killer ape. The eponymous Ape Man of Forbidden Mountain. Carl the Stuntman was already cast as, well, the Stuntman for the movie's Ape Man, and he was trying to sabotage the movie shoot in it.
No, Carl, stop it! That's not in the script! Help! He hurt me, but that ape is not my stuntman.
But I've seen some less impressive ghosts and monsters in the franchise, though. But at least Bluestone the Great and Hassel in the Castle uses magician skills to take a typical bedsheet ghost disguise to further levels, like making him appear to be translucent and walking through walls. But back to the Ape Man. After that initial scare, Carl throws himself in his trailer's trunk to make it look like someone else did it to him.
What happened?
I came in to dress and a big hairy animal grabbed me and threw me in the trunk.
Okay, that could seem a little plausible, but I'm surprised nobody went and accused Carl right there of having caused the mischief. But of course, the story wouldn't go anywhere afterward. I mean, Carl did say he came in to dress into his Ape Man costume when the real Ape Man allegedly threw him in the trunk. The thing is, Carl already had much of the Ape Man costume on when he was in the trunk. Surely, it takes time to put such an ape suit on. After that, it pretty much becomes kind of standard Scooby mystery fare. They find a clue, a half-eaten hamburger that Carl the Stuntman ate while still wearing the full ape costume.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Another clue includes a small wisp of fur stuck in a big wine casket, serving as an entrance to a secret cavern, taking him from underground to the movie lot. And we get some of the usual scares and chases. But I do have to admire your bravery there, Scoob. Maybe that was one advantage of the Ape Man being a more ordinary kind of villain for you to face.
Oh, sucks.
Yep. Then again, I've seen you bravely face against the very spooky Phantom Puppeteer and the Wolfman in the Franken-Castle mystery. Even willing to catch the mug who'd been disguising as several spooky figures in that episode by the end.
Oh, yeah. Why,
Yep. Of course, discussing Carl the Stuntman, that wouldn't be complete without this.
Oh, Scooter.
Of course. I mean, never mind that it was so he could pull that old mirror routine on you, or the fact that it was yet another instance of that imposter device Hanna-Barbera loved doing. I've seen people wonder where and how Carl the Stuntman got this mask in your likeness. But from what I've gathered, you know how Dappy's uncle was the director of the Ape Man movie?
Yeah.
Well, I have a theory that sounds very plausible. Apparently, Carl the Stuntman must have already been aware of the director's niece and her mystery-solving friends and you. And so, upon learning you were all invited to be extras in the movie, he began to worry you guys would ruin his plans to sabotage the film, which, by the way, you did. With that, Carl must have taken a few newspaper clipping photos of you from your past mysteries and brought him to a Hollywood makeup artist, commissioning him to create this latex mask of you with the intent of messing around with you to try and throw you and the rest of the gang off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way how the secret agents in Mission Impossible would make such masks, so why not? Then decades later, this type of rubber Scooby mask then became available to the public. So now others can pretend to be you just for the fun of it.
Whoa, what?
But at least it's not for malicious purposes. The way the few who had similar masks in your likeness beforehand also did so. Of course, that episode also gave us the Shaggy snack.
Oh boy, a raggedy.
Oh boy to you maybe, but it grosses me out. Ugh. Then there's the infamous way they revealed the Ape Man was Carl all along. Rather than the usual unmasking method, Shaggy catches a glimpse of Carl with his Ape Man mask off and snaps a picture with a camera he just happens to find. And then after you guys managed to trap the Ape Man, Shaggy showed him the photo, revealing the all too obvious culprit.
Take a look at our ape man.
It's Carl the Stuntman!
I'm pretty sure in the back of your mind, you and the gang knew it had to be Carl the Stuntman all along.
Yeah?
I'm not surprised. And the reason why Carl did it was a pretty stupid motive.
Yep, Carl decided to sabotage the picture just because I wouldn't let him play the lead. What a pity.
Okay, first off, that was a petty reason to try and ruin the movie shoot. Just because he was angry he wasn't cast in the lead. Additionally, we don't hear of any of the male leads in this movie. The star of the picture is actress Candy Mint. I do believe that Carl wanted to be the main Ape Man actor and not just a stunt double. Kind of like when Daffy Duck wanted to star in a movie but ended up just being a stunt double for Bugs Bunny and later Speedy Gonzales. So, in a fit of jealousy, Carl decided to sabotage the movie shoot by showcasing his monster ape acting skills to show he was more than a lowly stuntman. That would be more plausible.
Yeah, well, possible.
Also, regarding ape suits, I'm reminded of the No-Face Zombie Chase episode for 1976, when the villain of that one, Mr. Dilly, who built the zombie robot, disguised himself in a gorilla suit that seemed even more generic than the Ape Man. And it was just a mere disguise to simply scare the gang away so he could get away with the rare golden galleon coin he had the zombie robot steal. Nothing unique like the zombie itself, and it didn't relate to the rest of the mystery in any way. Just an ordinary and generic gorilla costume.
Yeah, well, what original?
Exactly. Then there's the pup named Scooby-Doo episode, Lights, Camera, Monster. It also had a movie monster causing trouble for real life. In this case, Stinkweed, who robbed stores at the Coolsville Mall during a convenient event involving promoting the latest Stinkweed movie coming out soon. Stinkweed's actor, Vincent Thorne, who's the main actor for the monster, claims he's innocent and tries to hire the gang. But it eventually turns out the Stinkweed causing trouble is indeed Vincent Thorne, who hated playing Stinkweed for so long he decided to ruin the character and franchise's reputation by committing crimes in character as Stinkweed.
Stinkweed? Yeah.
Yep. Now, Stinkweed was more unique and a scarier type of monster than the Ape Man, and Vincent Thorne had a far better motive than Carl the Stuntman. Actually being angry about having to play the monster for so long, he decides to discourage the movie company from making more Stinkweed movies with those crimes.
Yeah.
If anything, Carl the Stuntman should have been angry about playing yet another monster ape role and tried to sabotage the movie shoot to convince the executives to stop making monster ape movies. What a pity. But there is a reason why that Ape Man episode had a supposedly weak villain.
Oh?
Yeah, my theory is that because it was one of the first episodes written by Bill Lutz, who wrote all the first season episodes after Joe Ruby and Ken Spears wrote the first 5 episodes. Ruby and Spears likely stayed on as story editors while Bill Lutz became the sole writer for the remainder of the season. And Never Ape an Ape Man was clearly one of his first Scooby-Doo writing efforts, which is why Carl the Stuntman had such a weak motive, coupled with his not as threatening disguises and all the signs that made it obvious from the start that he was the culprit.
Oh, wow.
Yep. But at least Bill Lutz got a lot better after that, writing a bunch of memorable episodes. Everyone usually starts out on something a little rough, because practice makes perfect. I mean, look at how his channel creators' fursuits have improved since then. Additionally, I remember how the Gold Key Comics adaptation of this episode, it's pretty similar, but there were a few changes, such as removing the parrot who says stick him up what's the password, the Scooby Mask gambit, the Shaggy snack, and after the pool table scene, their initial trap to catch the ape man actually succeeds, and his mask falls off to reveal he's actually Carl. At least that's somewhat better than sneaking around with his mask off and getting photographed. And at the end, the director mentions that Carl was indeed upset he couldn't play the hero's role. So there is a vague implication that there's also a male hero character in the movie, likely one who saves Candy Mint's character, while the TV episode implies there's no such thing. And again, Scooby, I do admire how you had more moments of bravery in those earlier episodes, along with being a little more intelligent. I mean, the whole rubber mask thing, you quickly suspected something was phony when your reflection having your head on a dark-colored body. Yet 14 years later, when the chameleon did the same thing to you, wearing such a Scooby mask with a not very detailed body costume, you failed to notice the difference, and you thought it really was your reflection.
I call it bully.
Oh yeah, I did kind of forget for a second that being a dog, your eyesight is less sharp, but you can still see some colors that we've seen, how in some cartoons after a character removes a mask, he or she usually just carelessly tosses it away and leaves it behind. That's apparently what Carl the Stuntman did when he revealed his ape-man face in that mirror opening, but then of course Shaggy found this mask and decided to have some fun with it in one of his furry awakenings.
Surprise! It's the Scooby head the ape man was wearing.
Hey Scooby, I think I smell something good in the kitchen.
Well, oh boy.
It's showtime. Surprise! I was just testing you. Guess I couldn't fool you either, Scoob. Yeah! And I hope all of you out there found this video to be informative and entertaining. And so keep watching this channel to see what me and my other toon buddies do here next.
Yeah.